I want to talk about theater as an art form, and if you're following along in the textbook, this is chapter one. Theater, for our purposes in this semester, we are going to look at theater as an art form that is 2,500 years old. We will trace it back to the 5th century BC in ancient Greece. At that time, theater was a part of culture. It was a means of celebrating, as a means of appeasing the gods. Very important to note that at this time in ancient Greece, the culture was pagan. Um, for that reason, as time moved forward with the beginning of the Christian era, the popularity of this type of theater, this celebratory, socially driven theater, lost popularity. These were pagan celebrations. This was pagan theater. It had no place in Christianity. So, for that reason, these wonderful plays, many of them were lost. At this point, the church recognized the power of theater, and theater became a means by which the church could educate the uneducated about Christianity. As we move forward, theater will become a professional endeavor. In the 17th century, theater became an art form that people paid for. Playwrights, actors were compensated. This was met with a good deal of resistance and anger, frankly, because for so long, up until that point, theater was used to educate people about Christianity. And for that reason, the people who provided that information didn't need to be compensated. The point I'm trying to get to is that throughout history, the popularity, the acceptance, the enjoyment of theater depends on how society responds to it. Um, when you look at the words that are associated with theater, play, act, perform, this really doesn't speak to anything that is necessarily um, an honorable profession. Um, you do not play. You take things realistically, naturally, the way they were intended. Theater artists are too prone to fancy and too prone to imagination. However, the power of theater to educate people is undeniable. It is a spoken art form. It is a living art form. It is a representation of us on stage. So, inevitably, we will learn from it. Now, there are three elements of theater that are undeniable and we have to remember at all times, and they are the play, the written text, the play, the translation of that written text into a performance, and the viewing of that performance by the public or the audience. You have to have all three of these to make theater happen. Theater can't exist in a vacuum. It has to be out there to be experienced by people. Now, starting with the play itself has a definite shape, and we will talk about the structure of the play with regards to the methods of organizing dramatic action in future lectures. But for right now, we have to understand that a play, like a good story, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Things happen. Characters are introduced. Characters meet untimely deaths, whatever. All of this is contained within the play, and it is complete. That's it. This is what we have to work with. Plays can take different forms, as you know, comedies, dramas, the plays that are written in verse, the plays of Shakespeare. The point is, they are all one complete work, and that's what we deal with. Now, when we translate it from the page to the stage, that involves the work of a director. And as I said in the earlier lecture today, directors are storytellers. They make the decision of how that story gets told on stage. We will talk in future lectures about the approaches that directors can take to directing plays. It's important that the director is the artistic head of the production. And what that means is that everyone involved in the production and understand when I say theater is a collaborative art form, that means that everyone involved in the production is on the same page. All of the collaborators share the director's vision. This is the only way to truly ensure a successful production. Finally, the third element, and the most important, is the audience, the response of the audience. You think about it in these terms. The Mona Lisa can hang in the Louvre forever, and it probably will. And every time you see it, it's the Mona Lisa. Theater depends on an audience to live. The connection between the audience and the performance is crucial to make theater happen. If you don't believe me, try performing in an empty theater. I've done it a lot over the pandemic. It's weird. There is no connection between the performer and the audience. And believe me when I tell you it's crucial. So when we think about theater, we have to remember that there are three elements: the play, what the play becomes, the performance, and finally you, the audience. You have to have all three to make theater happen. I want to talk a little bit about theater as a form of art. Now, asking anyone to define art is futile. Art is in the eye of the beholder, truly. When we think about theater, in terms of it being an art form, it is not the most popular of art forms. If we were to rank theater or compare theater in popularity to something like live music, the symphony, or even contemporary music, theater would probably come in second, certainly. And if we compare theater to visual art or dance, I'm not sure where theater would rank. But it's important to remember that theater is an art form, and our response to this art form depends on our understanding of it. That's what this course is hopefully going to provide you with, an understanding of theater, so you can then appreciate it. I'll be back.